If you wake up exhausted, foggy, waking up worse than when you went to bed, check out what got built in your neighborhood in the last 2 years. Maybe it's one of those new AI data centers. Nobody measures EMF impact on people that live the closest to those. They weren't approved because they're safe. They were approved because nobody checked. There's this idea floating around that if something gets approved, somebody must have studied it first. And that feels reasonable. That's how it's supposed to work, right? But these AI data centers are being built at a speed that regulations were never designed for. The assumption is that they're fine, not because research says so, but because research doesn't exist. Here's what actually happens. Decades of EMF studies focus on older sources like power lines, old cell phone tower, early wireless tech. That research took years to build. Now we've got completely different kind of infrastructures going up in months, running on scales those old studies never accounted for. And people living closest to these facilities, they were never part of the study. Their exposure was never measured and their outcome were never tracked. So when somebody tells you these buildings are safe, ask them one question. Where's the study on people who live within a mile or two of these within the last 3 years? Not a general EMF review, not a study from something built in 2005, but a study on these new data centers, the specific thing that's sitting in your backyard right next to you or is going to be built soon. If they can't point to it, that's not reassurance, that's a gap, a real one. You don't have to wait for official answers to start paying attention to what's already around you. The people who feel sometimes off usually fill it off before anyone confirms. If that's you, you're not imagining it. You're just ahead of the paperwork. Follow because I cover things that affect you and the people in your home. I give you simple steps, no complicated equipment, just practical ways to reduce your family's exposure to everyday EMF radiation.